All right. And we'll just go ahead and pretend this is the first thing I said to you. How about that? Welcome, everybody, to our Greece meeting. Hey, we're glad that you're here. We are now kind of at the jump-off point for a fantastic trip to Greece. So usually what we do as a church is about every 2 years, we like to go to the Holy Land. Now, inside a trip to the Holy Land, we love that whole process. We enjoy that, but due to kind of the unrest over there right now, we're not able to go to the Holy Land the way we would like to go. Now, I am happy to tell you there are groups that are returning to the Holy Land. Our good friend over there, Fote, our guide, he's doing well. Maranatha has him going to the sites over there, kind of filming little videos. He just put one out in Bethlehem, so he's there kind of by himself, and he's telling what he would normally tell us when we're there. But he and his family are doing well. Kids are back at school. Things are kind of getting back to normal. And they, if we ask them, how can we pray for you? They're always going to say, pray for peace. And so, during COVID, many of you have asked how do they survive over there? During COVID, the government stepped in and took care of our guides, kind of financially, gave them a supplement really while tourism was down, so that they stayed employed in tourism. They didn't want them all going out and getting jobs other places, and then when tourism opens back up, there's nobody to lead those tours. So they kind of kept on going. Fote and his crew were able to benefit from that. They're doing well. Kids are back at school. Life is pretty normal, but they're not going down near the Gazan area, the area of Gaza. They're not going down there for obvious reasons. But other countries are moving in and around the Holy Land. I would probably not have a problem. If Fote invited me to come over and spend some time, I probably would go. I'm probably not taking you, but I'd probably go for myself, and just kind of we know where to stay away from. Although they're even clearing out that area now. So I mean, it is getting better and better as far as that's concerned. But this does afford us an opportunity to do a trip I've been wanting to do. We're going to do the journeys of Paul through Greece. Now, usually you can take a trip like this, and it's about a 2-week trip because you're adding Greece and you're doing Rome at the same time. I don't know how long we'll be out of Israel, but I don't want to rush. I'm not big on rushing. If I'm paying to go, then I want to see what and I want to kind of immerse in that culture. And so Greece is the one we're going to do now. Depending on what Israel does next, we may look at Rome next and kind of do some of that. There's also some other trips I wanted to do, like the Faith of Our Fathers of the Reformation time in England and Scotland and Ireland and all. And that's another beautiful. So we've got options, but we really want Israel to open up. This year, we're able to do Greece, and we're doing it during the time of the school year. In Petal schools, we have intercession. So our fall intercession is going to be that first full week of October. So our trip is October 1st through the 8th. And we're going to travel then. That lets some of our teachers and kind of consider going, and we have some that'll be doing that. Now, here's kind of how this is going to work. We're going to fly out of New Orleans. On October the 1st, we'll fly out of New Orleans on United Airlines. We'll fly from New Orleans to D.C. out of Dulles. We'll go from there on Austrian Airlines to Vienna. We'll do a little layover in Vienna, not long enough to get out. But it'd be kind of like we did in Paris a couple of years ago when we did Israel. So you'll get to see a beautiful airport, but then we'll jump over and we'll hang out in Thessalonica. So as we're going on this trip, just understand what we're doing is we're tracing, and you can begin this process now. Okay, so I've just wrapped up a new study of the book of Acts, where when in Acts chapter number 9, as Paul is converted and he begins his missionary journey, what you're going to start seeing is Paul taking a very similar route on at least 3 mission trips. In the New Testament kind of time, you'll find Paul going from, he's going from Antioch, he's going to Corinth, he's going to Derbe and Lystra and Berea. He's going to Philippi. He's going to Ephesus. He's going to Thessalonica. He's going to all of these places. And as he's going in all of those places, he's planting churches. Now, what's really neat is as Paul, when you get to the latter chapters of the book of Acts, Paul is, when he's imprisoned and they're taking him to Rome to appeal before Caesar, his ministry has so flourished that now by this time as he's traveling, they're getting off on islands like Malta, and they're going to some other places, and it says, and Paul is finding brethren there. So what that means is he's not finding Jews, he's finding believers. And he's establishing and equipping, and he's spending time with it because they're family. And so sometimes what we're gonna try to kind of collectively think back on all of this, because for many of you who've been to Israel, we've been talking about Israel like our whole lives. So that when we get there, most of us have this sense of when we go into Jerusalem, about those last 3 or 4 days of that trip, it's not like flying to Denver where you go, I've never been here, I'm interested in seeing. There's almost this sense of you're coming home, even though you've never been there. And so when we take this trip, we're going to use the word brethren. Anytime you see the word brethren in your Bible, you want to think the word family. Because the journeys of Paul as he's developing churches, remember, he's going and he's sharing the gospel. Once the gospel is shared, he's making disciples, which is forming a tight-knit community, an ecclesia, where that's a church, and then he's establishing order inside that church. They're ordaining elders, which is our word for pastors and leadership, and he's creating order inside these. Remember, because as he's developing churches, God is a God of order, not of chaos. He wants services to be happening, not circuses to go on. And so there's a lot of correction to the Corinthians that goes on and all that. We're going to be talking about all of that. And so I found myself over the last couple of weeks walking through in preparation for this, and our church reading is going to be finishing the book of Acts kind of right before this trip. And so that's going to be helpful for us, by the way. And so we're going to be reading through that, and then we're going to go there, and then when we hear places like Derbe, you're going to go, wow, what's Derbe? Because we've heard Philippi, we've heard Ephesus, because we know the book of Philippians, we know the book of Ephesians. But when you hear Derbe and Antioch and things like, I want you to know what we're talking about. Those are the places we're going to go. And then we're going to get to do some things that are going to be exciting, like for instance, when we go to Israel, we're able to learn the Sermon on the Mount while we're on the mount. Well, in Athens, we're gonna be able to learn Paul's famous Mars Hill sermon on Mars Hill, and so we're gonna be looking at all of that. Matter of fact, I've got a couple of buddies who just got back from Greece on this trip with just kind of did it on their own. And we were talking about it, and I said, tell me the most impressive thing. He said, think back to Israel. He said, when you go to, and for those of you who've been to Israel, you probably remember, Bet Shemesh, but you also remember places like Bet Shan. You remember Bet Shan? Bet Shan was where King Saul and his son's bodies were hung on the wall, and how they excavated that. And there's that huge hill in the background with that cross that's up on the hill from the movie Jesus Christ Superstar. They just left it there after they filmed that, and how you're walking down. Remember, we would walk down that central main street in Bet Shan, and it's kind of curved so that when donkeys went potty, it would kind of go down to the sewers. And the bathhouses were over here, and you feel like you're walking through the city. They all said, that's impressive until you see what you're about to see. He said, you're literally going to walk through, like, this is a city-sized city. And the ruins are out of this world. He said, you're going to see all of that. He said, now, it's going to feel a little different in some places, because some places are more biblically educational than they are emotional. So for instance, like when we would go to Masada in Israel, okay, right? So not a whole lot biblically happened for us. Jesus isn't teaching in Masada, but it's a wonderful sight. So that's more educational than, say, going to the Garden of Gethsemane. That one is weighty, you know what I mean? So there are a lot of places where you're going to walk through, and it's going to open up your eyes to the world of the Bible, the progression of the gospel in the world of the Bible. Remember, the book of Acts is going to be divided into, when you're in the book of Acts, it's going to tell you the flow of the entire book in the first chapter. Jesus tells his disciples before the ascension, he says, and you will be my witnesses. And you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem and Judea and Samaria and the uttermost parts of the world. And then when you look at the book of Acts, you'll notice that the first kind of 6 chapters are all about Jerusalem. And then the next kind of 3 or 4 are going to be Judea and Samaria. And then the next are about the gospel going to the ends of the earth. And so that's how the whole book fleshes out. We have to kind of see, as believers, we've got to understand that God had always written into his story the salvation of mankind. He had always written into his story that the gospel was not a localized gospel, it was a worldwide gospel. And that the world had to hear the good news. And he took Galilean fishermen and he exposed the world to the gospel using these guys. We're going to follow that. And think about what that's going to do for us when we get home and recognize that, we consider, that to be, there's the Holy Land over there. No. What if this is the Holy Land? Because we bear a transforming gospel. And as the disciples and the apostles took the gospel to Ephesus and Rome and Athens, we take it to Petal and we take it to Jackson and we take it to Hattiesburg. And like this shows us kind of, this is who we are in our spiritual DNA. And so when we go over there, we are going on a pilgrimage to figure out and maybe remember who we are, or at the very best, who we're supposed to be. Because it's who we were. So we're getting into all of this. So day 1, we're traveling. Day 2, we're going to Thessalonica, and we'll be looking at 1st and 2nd Thessalonians. Then we're going to Philippi. We'll look at the book of Philippians. We'll go to Berea. We'll go to Athens by day 5, and we're going to hang out in Athens a good bit before we then go to Corinth. And all of these things are going to be wonderful. Now, we can have some of those kind of conversations again in our little secondary sub meeting if you need that. But let's talk a little bit about some new information. So basically, when we get over there, one of the questions that I mostly get in this is how do we dress and what's the weather going to be? Well, I'm going to tell you, it will be October 1st through the 8th, but we will be outside the state of Mississippi. So it's going to be pretty weather. That's what that means. October 1st through the 8th here, it's still going to be 1,000 degrees, and we can be carried off by mosquitoes at any point in the time, okay? But October 1st through the 8th in Greece is going to be, in the mornings and in the evenings, it'll be in the low 60s. During the day, it'll get low to mid 70s. So it's not going to be cold, but you're not going to be sweating either. This will kind of be like, and what we tell you when we travel is we want you to have a good base layer of just comfortable clothes, and then in your backpack put a light little windbreaker in case you need it. You may want to put a tiny little umbrella in there in case you need it, because those are things we can't control. But what you don't have to pack your galoshes for snow. And you don't have to pack your bikini. Well, just don't pack a bikini, okay? So the weather is going to be beautiful. Matter of fact, the worst part of the weather for us is going to be when we land in New Orleans on October the 8th and we walk right outside of the airport and the muggy hot hits us again and we go, oh, I forgot about this, okay? That's going to be your worst part. It's going to be beautiful otherwise. Now, let's talk about shoes. Buy some good shoes, okay? And when I say buy good shoes, I mean closed-toed walking shoes. You need shoes that you can reasonably move around in. You don't have to get hiking boots, but you don't need to be wearing flip-flops either, okay? So no sandals during the day, no flip-flops, all that kind of, let's just not do that because we're going to be walking. And in most of those regions we walk in, we want to be able to be both comfortable and agile. Now, when I say agile, I'm not talking about you're going to have to be leaping small little, none of that. I just want you to be able to walk and to be prepared to walk. As a matter of fact, and I told you this in the last meeting, I'm going to tell you this again. This is when we need to be prepared to start getting our bodies in condition to walk. Okay? This will probably not be as much walking as Israel, but there will be walking. So I always tell you, if you can walk 1 mile a day and be okay, then you're going to be okay. Now, I'm not going to tell you that you're only going to walk 1 mile a day. I'm telling you, you will never have to walk a mile at any one time. But it's kind of like if you've ever taken your kids or your family like on vacation and you've gone to Disneyland or Disney World. You may walk 30 miles that day, but it may just be 10 steps at a time. So there's a good bit of moving. Our transportation is always with us. We can put you on the bus, we can get you to the next spot. But sometimes we like to just kind of get out and walk. We like to get out on those side roads, and we like to walk past those vendors, and we like to hear them speaking Greek all around us. We're going to want to hear all of that. But we don't want you to get over there and you go, I haven't really been moving since, forever. And then you're just miserable because you get back to your room every night and your ankles are swelled up and you go, I'm just not used to moving this much. Well, we got time now. You can start doing that. So good shoes, some good mobility is going to be key. Let's talk about clothing. The Greeks are going to be fairly open-minded fashionably. Okay? That's going to be their general culture. We, however, are going to mainly spend our time visiting holy sites. And the holy sites are going to be much more modest than just regular Greek society. At night, when we get around and walk around Athens, if you want to, you can have dinner and go to bed, that's fine. But if you want to get out of the hotel and just walk down the street a little bit and just see Athens, that might be neat. I like to do that. That's going to be different than us going to some basilica, where they're going to want modesty. Now, I'm checking on what sites in particular are going to require like a longer skirt for ladies. There aren't going to be many of those. Matter of fact, most of the general rule we're hearing is as long as shoulders are covered, chests are covered, thighs are covered, you're pretty much good. So most of our ladies are going to be, if you want to wear a pair of pants, a pair of capris or whatever, that's going to be fine. That's going to be fine. Now, like I said, there might be a couple of places where we would go on where we would say they would prefer a lady wear a long skirt or something. There's not going to be much of that. But I got a guy, he's going to get back with me on maybe 1 or 2 locations that would be the case. And it's kind of one of those things where you could slip a skirt on over a pair of pants just to get in that building. That'd be fine. This is not going to be, it's not going to be difficult. It's not going to hamper the trip. And everybody right now is dressed fine enough to go anywhere we want to. Okay? So you're good. Don't stress about that. Also, I want you to recognize that whenever you travel, one of the worst things you can do is overpack for these trips. You will be surprised just how much you can get away with. Because here's the thing, I'm not keeping a record that, didn't you wear that shirt on Tuesday? I'm not keeping that record because I don't want you to keep that record with me. Now I'm gonna bring fresh drawers and socks for every day, but I'm gonna wear a pair of blue jeans a couple of times, and I might wear a polo a couple of times. Because here's the thing, when in our luggage you can pack up to like 49 pounds in a bag. And in our next meeting, we're going to look at some bags for those who need some questions. You're going to be able to take a big suitcase on the trip. We're not going to pack that thing more than about 35 pounds because you can have up to 49. But here's the thing. And you're going to say, oh no, I'm not buying anything when I get there. You are, okay? Just know that. You're coming back with junk that you're not even going to remember, but you're going to buy it while you're there. Okay? And so we like you to have a little bit of wiggle room in that stuff. So you can have a suitcase, You can have a carry-on on all the airplanes. So get you a little bag, and put it in the overhead compartment. And you can have a personal item, which means the ladies can carry a purse and you could carry a backpack. So we're going to talk with you about how to pack all that. Like I'm going to tell you in later meetings, we're going to talk about, hey, pack one pair of clothes in your backpack with you in case the luggage got messed up or something. We want you to have at least one pair of clothes before, because we'll take you to the mall and you can buy you whatever you need while we're there. But I want you to have at least a toothbrush with you, just in case. So we'll get to all of that, but just know, suitcase, carry-on, personal item, that's all good. Let's talk a little bit about money, okay? So money in Greece, a few years ago, you may have heard on the news, you may have heard about the Greece, kind of the collapse of their economy, okay? So in the middle of that, they adopted the standard of the euro as their form of currency. So a lot of times you can walk in places and you can go, American money typically always spends, okay? But what we're being recommended now is we're being recommended to go with euros, not euros like that you eat, euros. Am I saying the different word differently? Okay, euros, bring euros to spend. Okay, now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk to one of our local banks to see if they can't get a little supply in right before we go so that we can go exchange some money prior to getting there. Now, right now, the exchange rate between the US dollar and the euro it's going to be fairly the same. But what I'm saying is when we travel, I always recommend that when you travel, you bring a good bit of money. How much you're going to bring? You bring a good little stack in very small bills. So in a euro, a $1 bill for us in euros is a coin. Okay, their one is a little gold coin. So we may get a handful of those. I'd recommend that. But then you're going to know their next denomination is going to be like our $5 bill. That's when you get into their paper money. Now, here's what I would recommend. I would recommend, let's say $100. I'd recommend you come with $100 exchanged into euros. And the reason is because if you get off the bus and you're in a little shop and it's something €6, if you give them $20, if they take it, that you're going to get your change in euros. Versus you just kind of haggle them to $6 and you go, well, here's €6. And now you got it. And so when the price of your trip is $4,100, which is a really good deal right now, especially considering we're staying in some pretty nice places. We want to stay nice places. The only thing that is not covering, so that's covering your taxes, your entry fees, your tips and everything. You're not gonna have to tip the bellboy. You're not gonna have to tip the luggage guy. You're not. All of that's included. You just get on the bus. You literally could get on the bus and not have to worry about anything else. The only thing though it does not include is meals at lunchtime. So you're gonna have a buffet breakfast. You're gonna have a buffet dinner. You can grab some stuff off the buffet and put it in your bag and snack during the day. But we are going to go some places every day where you may want to get a kebab at a Grecian little cafe or something. You may want a gelato at a Grecian cafe. You may want who knows? You may want something. So lunches are just kind of on you. Now, I would recommend that you just understand if you sit down for lunch, if you're tired and you want to sit down for lunch, it's going to cost you €15. So however many days you're gonna want to eat lunch, just go ahead and factor that in. That's my drink, that's my meal. I want that, but again, you don't have to. If you're of the mind of, hey, I brought some peanut butter crackers, I'll be fine till dinner, I'm good, then that's fine. Just trying to give you an overall. Some are gonna say, well, What about credit cards? So credit cards are going to be okay. They are technologically advanced, as obviously. So Visa and MasterCard are going to be great credit cards to use because they're going to be accepted wherever you go. American Express and Discover Card are most likely not going to be used in Greece.
I took Discover and it couldn't be used in Israel.
Yeah. So Discover Card is funny about that, but Visa and MasterCard, you're gonna have no problem. They do warn you against Discover Card and American Express. They also tell you that you can use an ATM if you need to. They said, but plan on don't. Because an ATM, they don't really use ATMs over there. So when you find one, they're kind of difficult to find. And when you find them, they're also all in Greek because that's what they speak. And if you don't speak or read Greek, we'll have a guide. He can help you however you want to. But, if we just get a few exchanges of a little bit, you're going to be fine. So I would say this. Let's say you brought $100 and you exchange it for 100 euros, and that gets you, you get a Coke at a stop, and you buy some lunches, and then you say, well, I want to buy a few very big pieces of souvenirs. Okay, but you can use your Visa or MasterCard for that. Okay, but you can bring as much money as you want to, or you can bring as little as you want. That's on you. I think between us, we're going to bring just a few $100s in small bills, and we're going to be fine. And we're going to come back. My idea is we come back not spending even all of that. All right. Let me see. Yeah, you might as well spend. So whenever we get to our hotels. Hotels are, and I have a hotel listing. They're on our first video. We can get to that a little later if y'all need to. The way all that works is when we get to a hotel, we all meet inside the lobby. I go up to the desk and I tell them who we are. They're always they're on top of everything, and they're on top of everything because I hand them, when I walk in, I hand them a little envelope that says, "You take care of my people," okay? And they go there, so they hop to it. And so they're gonna come to us and they're gonna go, all right, let me give you a list, and they'll have your room key with your name on it. So I'll walk in and I'll go, where's Becky and Milton? Right here. And so they'll get a room key, and it'll also have a sticker that they'll put on their luggage. And they'll deliver the luggage to the room for you. Now if you want to go ahead and take it, it is a little faster that way, but they'll get it there for you. And then the night before we leave, you put that same luggage kind of out, and they're going to bring it down the next morning for you, and they're gonna put it on the bus. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna have the luggage by the bus, but I'm not gonna let them put any luggage on the bus until we're gonna line up as we get on the bus, and you're gonna walk up and you're gonna say, "That's my luggage." I'm gonna say, "That one," and you go, "Yeah, that one," and I'm gonna say, "Put that one on the bus." And so we load it. You watch them load it on the bus. That way, we don't go anywhere. Now, we need to get your luggage so we can do that. We all remember the famous story a few years ago where Bill and Kim Dukes left all of their money and their credit cards in the drawer at the hotel. And we made a phone call, and it met us at the next hotel, and everything was there. I mean, so they gonna take good care of us, and the Lord takes good care of us, by the way. And so we'll do that. Checking out of our hotel, all that easy. Remember, all tips to your guides, your bus drivers, and your porters at the airport, hotel waiters, cabin stewards. That's all included in your price. Okay. Now, electricity. The current in Greece is either 110 or 220. But look, it's basically, and this kind of gets easier and easier for us. If you have the 2-pin, not like the outlets we have here, but the 2 pins you use in Israel. And by the way, I've got examples of that. I can post that. I can post links of what you might want to get, a little adapter you might want for charging your phone. That's what you're going to do. But also understand that most of the hotels you're going to go to, like especially in international travel, they're going to have USB charging ports more than they have outlets. So your phone cord that goes from your phone into your brick, that USB that plugs into that brick, if you just take the brick off, it's gonna plug into, you're gonna charge. By the way, our bus is gonna have that at your seat. You're gonna plug in at your bus. Our bus will have Wi-Fi, so you'll be able to do all of that. You're gonna be charged and ready the whole time. Now I'm gonna recommend this. The rooms will have hair dryers, ladies. Guys, if you plug in an electric razor, just know this, they're gonna tell you, oh yeah, just buy a converter and you're gonna be fine. It's gonna burn up. Okay, just know it's going to. So ladies, use the hair dryers in the room. And guys, just be Mike for the week, okay? And so just come back, or just, you know, shave. It's fine. But the electric razors that you got to plug in, they do say that those are most likely going to burn up. So just, you know, buy you a cheap, just battery powered one, charge it before you leave if you want to do that. That's just kind of the easiest way to do that. Customs. The only customs you're going to have to clear is coming back into the United States. You are allowed $400 of souvenirs, kind of without declaration. You're allowed $400 per person or $800 per couple, kind of duty free to come back in. Most people will never even get near that, but the ones that do, you just declare it. You've paid your taxes. You just show them your receipt. We'll keep receipts on big purchases like that, and we'll be good to go. Now, when many of you signed up, if you use the QR code on the back of the brochure to sign up, and most of you did, you were sent an email that offered you insurance for the trip, and many of you have already gotten that, and that's great. You are not required to get insurance for the trip. It's about $200 for insurance. You're not required to get that. Although I will say this, I like the insurance. It sure has come in handy a couple of times, like COVID. Okay, it's come in handy a few times with just somebody loses their luggage, or you want to go, you get a sinus infection, you want to go to the pharmacy, like all that is taken care of. And so just know, whenever you sign up, if you're going, if you want the insurance, let me talk to you about it, and we can get you the insurance, and we'll go from there. Now, all of that being said, just at this stage and us getting ready for the trip, this is always kind of the time where people will go, they've changed their minds a little bit. So we do have 5 open spots for the trip. And so I'd love to be able to take some more folks on the trip, and it'll be kind of first come, first serve. If you know people, like if you've got friends and you go, I want to go, if you'll let me know soon, but we're locking in by the end of June. Okay, so that July 4th holiday is really the go no go for the trip. So by that point we have paid. We've got your tickets, we've got your hotel, that's done. So this is the time for us to know and to get ready. Now, here's what we're gonna do. We have Mike's got steaks defrosting, so he's got to get home quick. So I'm gonna take 2 quick questions, and then we'll close down the meeting, and then I'm gonna stay up here, and then you can come ask me anything you want to ask me. And if you weren't at the last meeting, but you kind of really want to go, come see me and we'll go. Now, some of you are wanting to go, but you're having trouble with the QR code on the back, so we're going old school on that a little bit. If you want to just kind of come fill out a registration form and just do that, we'll do it the paper way, and it's easy. And if you do that, I'll go ahead and secure your spot so that those 5 spots I'm looking to fill, they're done. Okay, so we'll just kind of handle it like that. So we got time for about 2 questions, and then I'll meet with you however long you need to after that. What questions you got, Jan?
Is there a schedule of when we need to have it fully paid?
Yes, so every 60 days a payment is due. I tell you what I'll do is I'll come up with I'll look at that schedule, because I'm trying to think if we're at payment 2 or 3 right now. I'll look at it and I'll post that. But you can, once you get it, you can always, contact Maranatha and tell them. And here's what I would suggest: if you want to make a payment, write a check to Maranatha and give it to us. And so what we'll do is we send out packets to Maranatha regularly. If you pay online, it's like going to a restaurant now, like 3% is added to because of the transaction fee of credit cards. Don't do that. Write a check, have your name on it. I'll put it in a pack with the rest of the thing, and they'll get a check directly, and we'll handle it that way. So you can pay online, or you can drop it off by the church office, and we'll send that in, no problem. Deborah will even write your receipt for it. Okay.
There was on Bancorp South, they have something called Zelly, and it went directly to Maranatha.
Okay.
It went, and I did that. I was just wondering if there was a particular date that it's got to.
There's okay, I got you. Yeah, usually it's like every 60 days, another 25% of it. So it's set up with 4 payments. Every 60 days, another one comes due. They always give us some wiggle room because we give them good business, but we can handle it that way. Okay, that's a good question. What else you got? Going once, going twice.
Can you exchange your euros if you don't spend them all? Can you just exchange them back at the airport?
Yes, once we get back to the airport in Greece, you can take your euros to there'll be an exchange booth. You take it and you just give them everything you got, and they'll give you the American equivalent for it. That's a good question too. All right, so let me do this. Let me pray for us, and then I'm gonna stay right here. You come ask me anything you want to ask me. We'll get you set up. And we'll get rolling. If you have not registered, but you say I'd like one of those spots, this is kind of remember it's first come first serve, and I want to get you taken care of. So here it is. All right, Lord, we love you. Thank you so much for your goodness, Father. Would you begin preparing us spiritually to walk through the geography of the New Testament, preparing us to walk through the geography of Mississippi, sharing the good news of Jesus. Father, give us good travel, good weather, a good time with our group, and Father, just a wonderful experience on this pilgrimage. Please bless us in all ways. We thank you, Lord Jesus. It's in your name we pray. Amen. All right, have a great day. If you would like to make a payment, come see me. If you would like to register, come see me. If you need a brochure, come see me. Come ask some questions. All right, see ya.